So, Mikey, thanks for joining us today. My first question, it's actually, I want to really get into the topic of why you reached out to us in the first place to do this interview, because we posted something online and you reached out to me via message and you weren't super happy about it. So I want to actually discuss it with you so that it's an opportunity for you to set the record straight on this. And what we posted was, we were talking about the UFC and how they chose you to be the face of UFC BJJ. And I kind of want to elaborate a little bit before I ask you the question. But when we think about the stars that the UFC have invested in MMA, we think about people like Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar, these big stars. They've chosen people with divisive personalities. They've chosen people who maybe they get into the trash talk. They bring controversy every time that they fight. And they never really invested a lot into lightweights. In fact, they kind of avoided the lightweight guys a little bit. Now, that is everything I've just said there is the opposite of you. And they usually look at people like you, the lightweight grapplers who are kind of a little bit more nerdy, a bit more quiet, don't really get into the drama and stuff. They see them as less marketable. So the UFC made a big deal about bringing you in. You were the coach for the Road to BJJ first season. You fought for the title right at the beginning of the UFC BJJ relaunch. So why do you think the UFC chose you as their big star from the beginning?
Yeah, so what I'll say is, who else could they choose in jiu-jitsu? They're all on steroids. They can't pass a drug test. It would probably be just me and the Rutolos that are like actually able to do this position. And it's not like I have a badge on me that says face of UFC BJJ. Like it's not like I won like a president election or something. So when people get mad at me, I just signed a contract to be with UFC. Like I didn't do anything. So don't be mad at me. I think that, again, like I said, that UFC is a professional organization that will have drug testing and be more professional. And if you look at all the athletes in our sport, we all, like most of them could not be in the position of a professional sport. So I fit the qualifications, I would say. Also, I would say that when I was with One Championship, Hywel, I had the most views in all my matches over every other person that was in grappling there. So you could say that I'm in a lighter division, but then I also have the most views. They also know all those numbers and stuff. So it's kind of interesting because I did bring in the most numbers. I do have the most following in jiu-jitsu as well. So I think I have like 300,000 followers more than Gordon. So I am the most viewed, most followed, most talked about probably along with Craig and Gordon in this industry. Now Craig is retired, Gordon's retired. So who else was there? I think that the lighter guy argument is one thing, but I'm in 135, that's like Sean O'Malley's division, which is pretty big division. It's not so small like the 125, and I think that that's a misconception that people have about jiu-jitsu and MMA. Like in the Olympics, you'll see every sport has a 125 division. The only place that didn't was ADCC. But then they say, oh, that's not a real division. It doesn't exist. But if you look at gi black belt worlds, roosterweight, light feather have the same amount of people as feather. So why do they not exist? Like, what made people decide they don't exist? It's just ADCC that didn't do it. Do they have drug testing in ADCC? Is it a professional organization? It's a great organization, but they lack a lot of things, and that doesn't make that division not exist. If you look at boxing, look at the most paid, most viewed athletes in boxing. They're my size. They're the 135, 140. So Mayweather and Pacquiao, right? Messi is also my size in soccer. So my size does well in life. We do well with these things. Like, I don't see the people that try to, like, it's just a common mentality in jiu-jitsu. Oh, the little guys. But if I'm beating these guys with views, I'm getting the most followers. I'm getting more people to our sport, which I am. The more people talk crap about me, the more they're watching our sport. That's what I'm saying. So, like, there's a lot of misconceptions that are kind of off. And again, two of the biggest most followers in jiu-jitsu, Juomi and me, both little guys.
Over 1 million followers each.
I don't have to argue facts, you know, like that's what I'm trying to say, that we do generate a lot of people to view it. And what I think is interesting, what you said about stars in MMA, most of them are like crap talkers and everything. I'm the complete opposite, but opposites attract the same way. I generate the same amount of hate as the bad guy. Extreme good and extreme bad. If I was in the middle, it wouldn't generate anything. But because I'm extreme the other way, people hate me just as much as Gordon. We're both equally hated in this community. I'm nice to everyone, and I'm still equally hated. You know, that's what I'm saying. So when you say, why did UFC choose me? I'm just listing facts about my viewership, about my personality, what I represent. A lot of people that don't watch jiu-jitsu love watching me or love understanding me because I'm just not the typical mold in our industry.
Do you think that you are more representative of the jiu-jitsu community as a whole then?
I don't think I represent the jiu-jitsu community. That's the beautiful thing about me. I think that that's why people in jiu-jitsu don't, like the people that argue this, I don't represent them. I'm a little different. I don't represent the competition jiu-jitsu community. I represent
Right.
more like a college kid that does jiu-jitsu. I represent more a different segment of people in jiu-jitsu. But that pisses people off because I'm not the typical competitor in jiu-jitsu. Because the typical competitor in jiu-jitsu couldn't pass a drug test. We couldn't use the typical competitor in jiu-jitsu. So am I doing anything wrong just being like myself? I'm a different segment, and people should just be like, okay, he is a different segment. He does represent a different part of jiu-jitsu. So great, let's let him do his thing. I don't have a badge on that says face of UFC BJJ. I hope they develop many stars that fit the segment that they like. But I'm just doing me and being my authentic self, and it does generate views and it does get people interested, you know. I feel like I do a very good job at that. Again, the numbers from one championship, like the two most viewed matches ever in one championship. And again, I was there with the Rotolos, the most exciting grapplers, and they are the most exciting. I love them. I'm huge fans of them. They're good friends of mine. But the two most viewed matches in one championship history for grappling: me versus Imanari, number one. Number two, me with the Mongolian guy with the heel hook, which I'm not proud of because I was horrifying, but it did show the violence of jiu-jitsu. Like, we need people to see like it is a legit, scary, violent sport.
You talked a little bit about the division, and you are absolutely the king of the 135-pound division. And just look at your record. You submitted 6 of your last 7 opponents, and you still get criticized for being boring when you compete. Do you think that's a little weird?
Yeah, so I think it's really odd that my last match was 3 minutes long. I only got into 2 exchanges, and I finished my opponent in the second exchange, which I'm upset about. I'm a perfectionist, so the first exchange I failed, right? That's all I saw from the match. Like, I got off the mat pissed off about that first exchange, but I don't know how I could have finished the match faster than I did. You know, in the beginning I went Karate Kid. I thought it would be entertaining to the fans because people that don't know jiu-jitsu, they know the Karate Kid. So I put my hands up like this. I thought it was just funny, you know, because I just wanted to get into cool exchanges. Then the jiu-jitsu community, the competitor old school jiu-jitsu community, you're a disgrace. How dare you? But they also think it's acceptable to hand fight and collar tie for a whole match without doing any jiu-jitsu. But that's not a disgrace. That's nothing. That's a manly thing to do. What I'm doing is feminine and gay, that I just want to submit my opponent as fast as like I don't understand these people. I really don't understand them, Hywel. But they don't like me. They hate me, you know. I can't do anything about that. But yeah, my match was considered boring. I would say that my match with Felipe in December was boring because I was just spamming a leg lock. My match with Verison was a little better, but it was more that I was being nice. I didn't want to injure him in the first round. I had 2 inside heel hooks that were completely done, and I could have just bridged and broke his knee. But he's a kid from the favelas, and I like him, and I want him to make money and grow as well. Like, I'm a fan of him. So I didn't want to injure him, and I wanted us to have a good fight, so I didn't break his leg.
Are you a little traumatized from that match with the Mongolian guy
Yes,
where,
I don't
right?
want to hurt anyone, especially someone I like, and especially someone from the favelas, right? Like, this is his career, and like he's an awesome person, Verison. Like, I didn't want to injure him, so I guess people got mad at me that I didn't just finish that match fast. I don't know. The Felipe fight for sure was slower than I wanted, but I had 3 stomach ulcers. like from like that time. Remember when my contract with One ended, then I was with UFC. There was just so much stress in that time that I messed up my stomach, got 3 stomach ulcers. So Rarison and Felipe, I was fighting with ulcers. This last match was the first time I didn't have ulcers in like 11 months, Hywel, with ulcers. And I was on the medicine, which makes you not absorb vitamins. And I was just very weak, like, for those months. This match, I was more like the Gabriel Souza time. Like the last match I did with Gabriel Souza where I finished him fast, right? Because that, I feel stronger. I'm more aggressive again. Like I'm not weak and frail, which I was the last 2 before then. So maybe those 2 matches were more boring, but this one I came out trying to finish as fast as I can. And Felipe is ranked number 3 in my division. So how do I not fight top 5 people? He just beat Juni. Like, he's good. So that was a top 3 ranked opponent that everyone says I don't fight top 5. Like, that guy was like the second best guy in my division. So I don't understand like how I'm not fighting the top. I spent 2 years trying to fight Baby Shark. Like, I can't do more than that. I was going to fight Baby Shark and Cade back to back. So what does anyone want from me? I tried, you know. ADCC doesn't have my weight class. Did anyone expect Rafael Mendez when he was doing 145 to do 170? Did anyone expect Marcelo Garcia when he was doing 185 to go up to 200? No. Everyone's like, oh, those are their weight classes. Let them do their weights. Why for me am I criticized doing my weight class? I only said I'm the best in my weight class. I never said I was better than anyone in any other weight class, you know. I've been undefeated in my weight class for like 8-9 years. Is that my fault that I've been working my butt off every day to get better? It's kind of not fair, the jiu-jitsu community. They just hate me.
You do get a lot of criticism, and I want to come back to this in a bit, actually, because we talked a little before the episode started about how you deal with that. But before we do talk about the criticism, one of the topics that I want to talk about is you are one of the top grapplers in the world. Pound for pound, you've got to be up there, top 5, possibly even top 3 pound for pound grapplers in the world.
Flow Grappling won't put me as that, though. It's interesting, though, when you're with a competitor organization, with another organization, they won't make you higher in the rankings. Who would have thought?
Funny that. But one other area where I feel that you are one of the top ranked grapplers in the world is you've got to be one of the best paid grapplers in recent history.
Yep.
And I'd say you're probably easily top 3 or 4. And on that list, I can think of guys, obviously there's Nicky Rod, there's Gordon Ryan, there's Craig Jones, and there's you. And I'm thinking about your career in both gi and no gi, because you got paid very well for competing with organizations like ACB, like WNO, with One Championship, and now UFC. And you've done very well for yourself for somebody who doesn't own a gym, who doesn't seem to need to work with sponsors. I mean, you got, I think, 6 $50,000 bonuses for One Championship.
I was making 7 figures all the time, and I'm consistently going into that 7-figure range now. So what I'm trying to say is, but people get mad at me. People get upset with me in the jiu-jitsu community. I'm laying out this groundwork for other people to make 7 figures if they really want. But they rather do ADCC where you make 10K. It just, that path didn't work. No one was making money. So I just don't understand. Like, I guess change pisses people off, but I really am working hard, and I am noble in wanting a platform where people can make money consistently. People get mad that I'm the one making the money. I know that. I understand that they're working hard as well and they want to make money. But the only way for other people to make money is someone else first making money, laying a groundwork, and then other people could follow the groundwork that I'm making, right? So I feel like I was the original OG person that went to the best places with money. Who's number 1 Flow Grappling started this, and I used to talk to you for hours there, right? And those are the best original events. Those were the OG events. And they started a good platform with belts and everything, which got other organizations with deeper pockets excited and involved, which was great for our sport. Then One Championship brought me and Rutolos over. Then we started making good money there, like real MMA money. Then we got UFC involved because of the success of One and what we were doing, right? Then I went to UFC. So I'm the only person that's been to all the places, right? And got to experience all those places. And I think in the future, people will look back at this and see, wow, that's like the real original groundwork of what got established in jiu-jitsu for making money and actually being a professional.
You mentioned seven figures. You made seven figures with one. How much? How much do you think that you made in your, let's say, in your grappling career or on a year by year basis? Can you give us any
A
idea
good
of what that
amount.
looks like? A good
I've
amount.
made a really good amount. Like I'm financially definitely secure in my life. That's why with the Derek Moneyberg thing, I was pissed because I'm definitely not broke where I need money. You know, I just really like he was just a friend and I wasn't being a sellout and like I don't know. I made enough in my life where I could just live off of just doing nothing now, just teaching, training. I don't need to make money. I am doing
Wow.
this because I want to grow a platform where everyone can make money and where everyone could have the opportunities that I'm having. You know, because it's definitely bigger. Hywel, my page grew over 100,000 followers in the last like 4 or 5 days. I grew 10,000 followers overnight, like yesterday. So my page is growing like insane. Like when has a jiu-jitsu person had this growth? Is it so bad of me that I want a platform that could actually grow our pages? You know, my page is getting 66 million impressions in a month. Like, is that normal for a jiu-jitsu athlete?
No, that's huge. So you're proving then that obviously there's so much to grow here. You're proving that this is the beginning of something really big, and you're one of the first guys who helped bring this in. But I guess with MMA, for example, things are quite transparent because salaries are disclosed, but we don't really have that same access to information in grappling. Is there anything that any indication you can give to people? Because maybe they are aspiring to be where you are one day. Maybe they're thinking, okay, I want to be the next Mikey. A couple of years from now, I would like to be kind of where he is. But maybe they have no idea what that return on all the investment and the time that they're going to put into that journey might be. Can you give them an idea of what that looks like?
Okay, so if you're trying to make money in jiu-jitsu, I'll tell you to go to college. That's a famous quote from Dustin Poirier, right? Because only 0.001% can make this path of financial success in jiu-jitsu unless you become a business owner and have a gym. I think that's like the standard model right now, right? What I'm trying to do is create a path for competitors and endorsements to actually make money, you know? I think that it's also very hard to get a name in jiu-jitsu at the moment. Something interesting, Hyo, I think that you'll find this interesting. If we could just get on a little tangent quickly
Sure.
about how athletes become a star. So you're going to find this interesting. So if you look at most of the big name athletes in jiu-jitsu, like let's look at Nicholas Maringali, Leandro Lowe. I want to ask you, what were their breakout moments? Leandro Lowe's breakout moment was when he beat Michael Langhi, World Pro 2011. Remember? Langhi was undefeated for
Yes.
like 8 years. So Leandro Lowe had a star to beat, right? And that instantly made his name up. Like, who is that guy? He just beat Michael Langhi. What the hell? Nicholas Maringali, what was his breakout moment? What was his breakout moment? Do you know?
2017 when he beat Leandro Lowe.
Yes, exactly. Yep, I knew you would. You're a jiu-jitsu nerd. Yep. So Rafael Mendez, what was his breakout moment? Beating Cobrinha, right?
Right.
What was my breakout moment? Fighting Miao, fighting Bruno Malfacini, right? When you have a legend or star to beat, it instantly gives you the ability to become a star and spike your name, right? I think the problem in jiu-jitsu is when you don't have a star for an athlete to compete with, you're stuck in a loop of fighting for a billion years and nobody cares because you're not fighting anyone with a big name. So that's why I say it's difficult for everyone to make money in our sport because there's no star for them to beat. I was lucky that I was in a weight class with Joel Miao, who was a star, with Keenan, like that era, right? That was the OG era where you were completely the goat of that era. Like that was your peak time, right? Like, which I grew up watching all your videos. I was a big fan of your
Thank you.
page always, BJ Hex. It was like the best page ever. The Leandro Lowe video of that time was like my favorite thing ever. And Meows, like those videos were so good. But yeah, I think that building a star, you need a star to build. And I think that that's the problem. So let's look at the featherweight division IBJJF now, right? When Cobria and Hoffa retired, who was there for those guys to become a star from?
And you ended up having like a different world champion every year for like consecutive years, right?
And everyone's so good in that division. They're incredible, but they don't have anyone to beat that will actually spike their name or brand, right?
Right.
When it comes down to how people can actually become stars, spike their name and brand, you have to be interesting for sure. You have to be unique, a little different. But I think that you need a star that people are excited to watch you with. Like, I think that to get your name spiked, you know, I think that that's what made those people become stars. Would you agree with that analysis?
I would, but I would also ask then, it kind of sounds in a very polite way, but it's almost like you're inviting people to come at you.
I always am.
It's almost like you're saying to people, hey, if you want to have this, then I'm the guy. If you can beat me, then you can become the next star.
I always say this to people that I have a lot of friends that are high level competitors, right? That are in the black belt scene. Like, I know a lot of people. My advice to them is always stop. What division are you in? And then the second they tell me their weight class, I'm like, what is the star of your weight class? Look for the star of your weight class. If he's not there, go up. If he's not there, go down. Find a star, because you're not going to build your name unless you have that star. Unless you're doing another thing, like a personality of some sort, it's going to be very difficult to build your name if you don't have a star. That's what I would say is my biggest analysis. And that's why you've been in this industry so long. Do you agree with that as well? Like
I
if you
do.
look at a weight class that doesn't have a star, does that person build their name? They have to consistently win for like 10 years to actually build their name. And that won't even build their name. You know what will build their name? The young gun coming up and beating that 10-time world champion person. It's sad though, because they work so hard and they have very hard competition, but they don't get recognition, or they don't have that spike of like that stardom, because they just didn't have a person with them there.
And I think one of the reasons that you stand out as a star is, as you mentioned earlier, you're very different to the stereotypical jiu-jitsu fighter. You're not the massive, muscular, kind of ripped jock dude.
Yep.
You are much more representative of the sort of the overall jiu-jitsu practitioner community, because in jiu-jitsu, maybe 98%, 99% of jiu-jitsu practitioners don't compete, and they don't even care about competition. And
I represent more
they
them.
probably, they probably look to you as this, they see themselves in you much more than they see themselves in like this gigantic ripped Brazilian dude. I guess that is interesting, because that's part of your brand. That's part of what makes you special, and it has helped kind of get you to where you are and your level of stardom. But there's something else which I feel like is kind of very specific to you, and you get a lot of hate online. We talked about that as well. You get a lot of criticism, right?
Crazy.
You get a lot of people talking about everything from your jujitsu to the way you act. But there are quite a lot of sometimes very spiteful, hateful comments saying that Mikey is on the spectrum. And there's a lot of jokes about autism in jiu-jitsu, right? About how
Yep.
actually it could be like a PED of sorts for some people,
Superpower.
right? But one of the best responses that I saw, and I just think it was absolutely amazing. I laughed so much in your UFC BJJ match when you responded in the post-fight interview that you'd been cycling Tylenol in preparation for the match. Was that a clapback at the haters then?
Yeah, and it's just more me just accepting who I am. If people want to make fun of me, like I used to be so uptight, and when someone made fun of me, I would like try to defend myself, try to fight back. Now when someone makes fun of me, I'm just like, I am who I am. If you think I'm autistic, screw it. If you think I'm this, screw it. I just don't fight it anymore. That's what I'm learning, like as I get older.
That's maturity,
Like
right?
just Yeah, it's maturity. When I was younger, I used to be very, very, very upset with when someone would insult me. I think the people that do very well with haters are people that are actually very snobby and they look down on people. Like they look at people, that person is nothing, like that mentality. But the way I am, Hywel, you know me, that I'll treat anyone in the room the same, like a white belt, a black belt, a random person. Like I just see all people the same. So when somebody insults me, I can't have the mentality. I have a very hard time having this mentality. Oh, that person doesn't matter anyway. Like I'm like, why do they hate me? Like I want to be friends with them. Like what I do wrong? Like I'm sorry. Like I'm getting better at that as I get older. Just showing everyone love and just playing along. It's a game, and this is entertainment for people.
Right.
So I'm
Well,
more
that
now
leads really well
realizing.
into a question I have for you then, if you don't mind
Okay,
me
okay, okay. Go
interrupting,
ahead, go
because
ahead.
in my opinion, whether somebody is on the spectrum or not is none of anybody's business. But that joke at the UFC BJJ, it tells me that you're maybe a lot more self-aware than people think. So I kind of have to ask, and but please don't take this the wrong way, but do you sometimes play up that character for the camera?
Absolutely. It's an act. It's me showing a different entertainment for people. I 100% play it up. I'm definitely way less like that in real life, and I admit that. I'll say that to anyone. Like whenever
Yeah.
anyone says he's playing it up, I say I am playing it up. It's just entertainment. This is all entertainment. If you met me in real life, I definitely am not making weird food puns or like being weird like that. But online, I'm just giving people entertainment, just to like bring more and more people to our segment in sport. That's a part of my role of what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, because we've hung out, right? I've been to
I'm a
your house
normal
for dinner,
person.
yeah. And by the way, the dinner at your house was absolutely awesome.
That
Shout
was a
out to
fun
Chef
day.
Mikey. That was beautiful. And, the person that I see in these events, it is the same Mikey that I've hung out with, but at the same time, it's kind of like you dial it up for the cameras and
Character.
you just give it a little bit more, right? Yeah.
But that's my role. I have to do that, in the position I'm in. We have to entertain the people. We have to give them different things. I feel like my last two matches are the only time I didn't do that because I was sick, with the ulcers.
Mm.
With Gabriel Souza, I remember how like the entertainment factor of the post-fight interview. Then I got the most views of the whole card, more than the fights and everything. So because I know in jiu-jitsu, it's boring. Jiu-jitsu is not exciting for people. Only us jiu-jitsu nerds, we love it, of course. But for the regular folk, it's not exciting. But what can I make exciting? Things outside of jiu-jitsu, even my post-fight interview. I always try to do some element of excitement for people. And I knew the Tyler thing would be funny.
Also, I noticed that you mentioned a very important word earlier when we were talking. You mentioned the word being authentic. And I feel like that your character that you're saying that you're playing, it's not something that you've created. It is
It
authentically
is
you.
authentic. It is authentic, a part of it, right? So I just play into my authenticity. Like, it's not like a completely random character. Like, it's a trait of me. I just make that trait stronger, for entertainment purposes when I need to. And I think that it just, again, gets more views, like a lot of those videos I did with the food puns and things, they would get like 10 million views, like every time I was posting them. So I'm like, okay, people are enjoying watching these. Like, I have to like keep doing it, like this is what people are entertained by. Like, I'm in the entertainment industry. If I didn't do this and I wanted to keep jiu-jitsu flat and boring, we'll have our jiu-jitsu nerds doing it, but we can't spread our sport to other people. So I think that your video, going back to the beginning of this interview, the first question, your video of saying that I'm a controversial face of UFC BJJ. First of all, I never said I was face, but I would say that you're correct because I'm not the same as these other people. I am doing different things. I am not the typical mold of a competitor. I am not any of these things at all. And I think that's what makes it different. I think that's what makes news articles able to say he's not the face, and then they get thousands of comments. People love interacting with this. If it was such no big deal, nobody would be commenting. No one would interact, right? So I think that hate and love, what I've learned in this industry is people complaining, people talking, as long as they're talking, they're emotionally connected. They're emotionally invested in something. They're not indifferent. As long as they're not indifferent, you're getting the same interaction, even if it's love or hate.
Another thing that you mentioned earlier that I wanted to talk about, and this is something that I know that you are very, very passionate about, is it's about doping in jiu-jitsu, about steroid use. And one of the reasons that you said that you are so strongly aligned with the UFC and the plans that they have for UFC BJJ is because they're going to introduce anti-doping testing.
And that's what got me to go there.
Can you give us an idea of when this is going to start?
Yeah, so I was in the meeting with Hunter Campbell. He's the head of UFC besides Dana White. He's the head of everything. He's the brain. And when I signed with UFC, he said that he's gonna give the athletes like a 6-month window. Like, hey guys, we're gonna start testing. He's gonna give everyone a window so they have enough time to cycle off or do whatever they need to do, and then they'll start testing. I think that probably by summer next year we'll have drug testing, hopefully. But I also understand that if you're in a sport with completely doping, that it takes time to remove these things. I can't just expect them to just say, hey guys, we're testing now. Get off.
Yeah. It's not going to be an overnight thing, right?
Yeah. So I understand that, and I've been patient, and it should happen. You know, he still says it's gonna happen. It's just taking them a little more time, and I get it's expensive. Actually, it costs a lot of money to test athletes, right? So if they already have a thin budget as it is, and they're having 10 events next year, adding the doping testing, which is super expensive, is even more on their budget. So I get why it takes a little time, but again, they promised me that, and that's why I'm here. My contract is actually done with UFC now in the next week or two. That's interesting information. So I'm re-signing with them now. Again, I just want to keep making these deals higher and higher for grapplers, like breaking records. That's my goal.
Now, you've always been very vocal about how you're a lifetime natural. You've been very vocal about how strongly you feel against the usage of steroids, and you mentioned
Absolutely.
about it's one of the reasons why you
Do I
wanted
look
to.
29, Hywel?
No, you do not. But you also
If I do a
mentioned
body
about,
test, it says I'm 20, 21. If I do a body, like the fat scan test, it says my body's 20, 21. So I'm very
really,
young. Now, can you
right.
say the same about other people that are doping, that are like, that look a certain age and they're like, look like 20 years older? Like they're, you know what I mean? Like it's ridiculous. Like it ages you, it harms your body.
There are some good examples I can think of for sure.
Let's not go there. But if you, is TRT good for older men that are not producing testosterone as a medical provider? And yeah, sure, those are healthy things. But do 19, 17, 16-year-old kids need to take testosterone when their bodies are already producing it? No. You know, I'm not saying anything so crazy. Like I'm not like this crazy person with everything being natural, you know, like I'll take creatine, I'll take whey protein, you know, like these things are good for you. Like, but I just think that you shouldn't, like, we shouldn't, every professional sport has drug testing. We need it for our sport, you know, and I'll even concede and say the guys that didn't have drug testing in their period before, they didn't have it. It was legal for them, you know, good for them. But don't tell people that that's how I did it. You should do it like me. Tell them, okay, my generation was no drug testing. I did what I did, but your generation is going to be different. Let's not do what I did because of all the damage it did to my body and everything. That's my official stance on it. I have no beef with anyone that's taking steroids or anything. All I want is our sport in the future to have drug testing. So then we have athletes that could actually have a path that don't need to take steroids. Like I grinded out in my life.
How many USADA drug tests did you pass as an IBJJF champion? Because you were tested many times, right?
Every year they tested me. At one, I was tested 3 times or 4 times. I kept asking one to test me. I'm like, hey, could you guys keep testing me? I'm the most vocal one about getting tested, and IBJJF instantly would want to test me. I'm their guy that they know will pass, you know, because they don't want people to fail IBJJF, of course. So if they have like a set of 8 tests, I'm the guy that's getting tested. You know what I mean?
About the doping then, and the time that it will take to kind of get this system in place,
I'd say
and
6
the
months.
opportunity, and the opportunity for other athletes to maybe make some adjustments. Do you think that that will hopefully bring in some fresh opponents for you? Because you've said that there are some guys out there that you would like to fight, but you just don't think that they could come in and do it clean.
Yeah, exactly. Again, I've been trying for 2 years to fight Baby Shark. That was my dream match. You know, like I really wanted that match. If I didn't get killed from UFC, I'd be tempted to just go to one and fight him. You know, I just want to fight him really bad. Yeah, I think that what's gonna happen, Hywel, is we need new young guns to like become stars, and UFC has the platform to actually create them. Why I'm saying, going back to what I said before, guys, I have really bad ADHD, so I jump conversations and then things come together. So just bear with me. Before we were talking about becoming a star, and that you needed a legend to become a star. You need to beat a legend to become a star. I think UFC is the only platform that might not be the case, because they have enough pull, enough publicity to actually make stars out of anyone, right? If they actually want to, they could choose who becomes stars. They could have them do media events. They could bring out a part of their personality. I feel like they actually can create stars without the typical format that we needed in the past. My opinion is, what do we need in our sport? I think this generation is going to be very difficult to actually create, to bring all the best people into one because of all these exclusive contracts. I think that there's only 2 paths that lead to all the best people competing with each other. One of them, we scrap all the new exclusive contract organizations and they all just pull out, so nobody's making money, and we go back to old school ADCC, IBJJF. You get the best guys competing with each other, nobody makes money, Jiu-jitsu you can't make a living off of. We have to go to MMA, have a gym, if that's what people want. Or we have these exclusive wars with these organizations, and the one with the most money, the most sustainability, that draws the most audience, wins this war, and we have everyone together in that exclusive organization, and we have an amazing setup. That's where we're at right now. My opinion is UFC needs to create many different weight classes, have a lot of young stars, and build them. Like, for example, I think there should be a 125 with Jalen Fonacier. He's incredible. He's 19 years old, and he's just destroying everyone, right? That's an easy star for them to build. So have a 125. Have me in 135. I'm already a star, right, for them. Now let's go to 145. Have somebody like, what's the kid that won EBI? That insane kid, Landon.
Landon Elmo.
He's incredible. Awesome. Imagine UFC investing in him and making him a star at 145. Now we have a star at 25, 35, 45, 55. Okay, Carlos, they're building right now. He's kind of like a Charles Oliveira format coming from, you know what I mean? Like, that's how you create stars long term. And that's UFC's long term strategy. I talked to Hunter, and he said, I understand the short run, I'm going to lose money. It's going to be difficult. But let's look 10 years from now. I have the money to go 10 years in this, which is true. He does. Wow. UFC has the money to do this. Does any other organization have 10 years worth of money to lose to actually build divisions? So if we did something like this, don't you agree that that would yield having stars in every division, getting these young kids, creating them, having different people slowly come into the organization, and you just slowly keep building them and make storylines, constant storylines. You know, I think that that's how we actually produce stars in UFC grappling.
You're absolutely right. And you kind of jumped onto the next topic, because I was going to ask you about this. I was going to ask you about the future of pro BJJ and the plans for the UFC. And you described it perfectly about how they have the system to create stars. And right now they have...
They're the only ones that can.
They're the only ones who can. They have 3 current champions, yourself, Carlos Enrique, and Andrew Tackett. They're going to have another title match with Raquel Canuto coming up later this year. But they have all these vacant divisions that one day will be filled by champions. And they, like you said, they have the system to create these guys and to get there. Can you tell us a little bit more about the UFC's plans? Because you said 10 events next year. You said that they have the money, and it seems that the patience as well required to go 10 years in this if they want to. Can you tell us anything more about the UFC's plans for BJJ?
Yeah. So again, we had 6 events this year, and UFC BJJ had how many events? 4, right? Because the other ones were Fight Pass Invitational.
Correct.
So we only had 4 this year. Next year, we're having 10. So obviously they're expanding to like every other month or even multiple months the same. So what does that mean if they're expanding to 10 events next year? They're going to have a lot more athletes, right? They're going to have a lot more athletes. They're going to be expanding not just in Vegas. They're going to be going to different places. You know, they're going to be planning to do different things like this. Their goal long term, I believe, is they're going to have a UFC MMA event, and they'll have Power Slap another day and Jiu-Jitsu another day, all at their UFC events as well. So they'll already have all the segments of people watching, the most views possible, right? They do plan on having every weight class. They do plan on having drug testing, just like their MMA division. And yeah, I see them have the ability to actually long-term sustain and create stars, and eventually one day yield a profit in 10 years. But no other organization had that ability. So everyone called me a sellout. I'm a horrible human. I'm all this. But did I really do anything so bad, or was I looking logically for the best solution for everyone? Because they do have the backing. And what I said is true, Hywel, right? Like, let me ask you, would all these exclusive contracts, like these organizations stand? Like, let's just scrap them all. Let's get rid of one, UFC, and Flow. Let's go back to IBJJF, ADCC. There's no money, right? We already tried this since 1996. Then what happens is these organizations with money come in, and then the athletes start making money, and then there's this capitalism battle between them. So what do you think has to happen for us to actually have these? If we get rid of exclusive contracts, they'll all leave. Because why would UFC invest in anyone putting money in if they're just going to donate them to Flow or donate them to one? Does that make sense? Like, what incentive do these people have?
No, you're right. It's simple business strategy that any event in the world is going to protect their assets. And those assets in this case are the athletes, the fighters. So they're going to have those under contract for sure. It's a simple business.
Can I ask you now, what is your opinion on what has to happen in grappling for us to get to where we have all the best guys together?
Well, number one, I don't think that the UFC moving into BJJ and doing exclusive contracts is a bad thing. I really don't, because they are creating a league which they are going to position as the best in the world. And I feel that everybody will want to be there for sure. But where are they going to get those new athletes from? I'm sure they're watching the tournaments, they're watching the IBJJF Worlds, they're watching ADCC, they're watching all these
Yep,
events.
they watch everything.
But at the same time, just like in MMA, there are other feeder organizations that develop talent, create these up and coming stars, and then send them to the big league, the UFC. So I'm thinking like events like Polaris, events like EBI, and other events all around the world, they'll be doing the same thing. They'll be building up talent, and ultimately that athlete will hit a ceiling. And at some point, they'll have to think, if I want to make more money, and if I want to fight the best guys in the world, I gotta have to go to the UFC. Or in some cases, if that guy has a really good deal, or if he has a particular strategy in mind for himself, maybe he has a really good marketable kind of character in a certain location or a region in the world, maybe he'll stay in Asia, maybe he'll stay in Europe. But as we've seen in MMA, it's possible for people to have good careers that way. So I don't think it's a bad thing, the UFC coming in. I actually think it's going to raise the bar for everybody, because now a lot of organizations that maybe they got away with doing things like at 50% for a long time, not paying the athletes that well, not treating them that well. And then a professional player comes in, they're going to have to raise their game to compete with the UFC. So I think it's a very important moment for jiu-jitsu. And I also think that this is the beginning of a real spike in the growth of the professional side of jiu-jitsu. I think it's a very important time indeed. But hey, quick question for you again about the UFC. Are we going to see more seasons of the Road to BJJ reality show?
Yeah, I think that they want to do that again. I think that that's how they'll keep building new divisions. That's their like strategy. Like they did that in MMA, right? They used the Ultimate Fighter to build different divisions, which I think is great. So they could appeal to a different audience. So we'll see more of those. And again, what other organization could do like Ultimate Fighter like that? And it's on UFC's YouTube channel, which is millions and millions of followers.
Would you do it again?
More followers. Yes, absolutely. I would do it again.
Really? You enjoyed it?
That would be a lot of fun. Oh, it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. Like the energy of it and everything, you know. And people got mad at me that I did it with Varys and Gabriel. But we wanted Baby Shark. Like that was the whole goal for me and Baby Shark to do it. But he's stuck with one now. So we couldn't use him. And he just beat Baby Shark. And he told UFC that he trains no-gi every day. And he's been training no-gi for years. He hasn't competed a few years in no-gi, but he was training it a lot. Like that's what he said. Like he trains no-gi like the same amount as gi. So we're like, okay, the guy that just beat Baby Shark down to fight me. We can't get Baby Shark. Let's just do a match, me and him. Like, was it such a horrible idea? Like me and Varys having a match. You know what I mean? Like, so I fought the number 3 ranked guy in my division, my first match in UFC. Then I fought Varys, again, the guy that beat Baby Shark, the 2-time ADCC champion. I know he was in the gi, but he still does train no-gi a lot. So it just made sense at that time because I needed an opponent. Then Kevin Carrasco won 2 matches in UFC. And it's setting a precedent that if you're competing in UFC and you want to fight me, go and compete, win matches in the organization, and you'll get rewarded to fight me. So is that so bad that we were doing that? Like he had 2 finishes. He was in the organization with me, and it's showing other athletes, if you want to have matches with me, come, do matches there, win, and doesn't even matter your ranking. If you want to compete with me, come to the organization and fight, and you'll get the reward of competing with me.
What's next for Mikey Musumeci? Do you have any matches lined up in the near future? Do you know kind of like what you said that you're just about to re-sign with the UFC? So we know you're not going anywhere. We know that you're staying with the UFC for
I'm in the process of re-signing, right?
Okay. But I don't imagine that you'll go anywhere else right now.
The plot twist is Craig is actually in the back here. Me and him are going to Imagine.
He's your legal counsel. Yeah. But what is next for Mikey Musumeci?
Yeah, so I'm gonna be off a few months now. Like I said, my body was destroyed from that time when I was gonna fight Cade, because I didn't have any months off. I was supposed to fight Baby Shark for like from December on all the way to December 2023, all the way to September when I fought Cade. I was in camp because they kept telling me I'm gonna fight him a different month, and he kept agreeing he's gonna fight me. So he kept me in camp all those months, killing my body. Then pulled out and did who's number one instead when he was exclusive to one. And one lets their athletes do other organizations, even when you're exclusive if you don't have the belt. I got kind of screwed in that pretty bad, and it like really messed up my body. Every part of my body was injured. I had ulcers. Every part of my body was injured, just frail. So I've been spending months just doing physical therapy and like fixing my health and body. And this is the healthiest I've been in like a year. Like I'm pretty much back to Gabriel Souza Mikey that time. That's what I keep saying. So the next few months, I'm going to do a lot more physical therapy, fix my health even more. What I'm learning is I'm older now. I'm 29. So the months I'm not competing, I'm using for physical therapy and to get my body healthy, basically to put Band-Aids on my body, like duct tape, just to rip it off when I'm in camp. So I would say that I'll compete again probably like February, March. I don't know my opponent yet, but a match I really want to do for everyone is me and João Miao. We're both the most followers on Instagram, and the Brazilians would go crazy for that match. And honestly, he was my toughest opponent. Like that guy was so tough for me. Like every match was like the most calculated chess piece strategy match ever, you know? So I think in this format, it would be really exciting, me and him having a match. We have 10 cards next year. Like, is it so bad me and an old foe that actually has more followers than like everyone having a good match with each other? It's really technical. It'll be exciting. There won't be butt scooting like people think. Like, we both play top really well. I think at IBJJF with the double pull rule, where you only get an advantage for coming up, it's very difficult to play top because the strategy, you have to stay on top with one advantage. It just favors the bottom guy. But in UFC rules, there's no points. It's just going for submission. So who cares, top or bottom? You know? So I think that it would be like the most technical match possible that we could put on. That's what I'm pushing UFC for now, is me and Juwon. Juwon wants it too. And again, what I was even telling them is the last match in UFC MMA 135 was Merab versus Corey Sandhagen, right? Between them, we have more followers, I think, me and Juwon, total. More than an MMA UFC fight. So that shows something, right? That shows that like it would be a good appeal to the audience. They did a poll, who should I fight next? And out of like 1,100 comments, I think 950 were all saying me and Joan. So give them what the people want, right? Manja, manja. That's from the interview with James Franco.
There we go. So big year for Mikey next year. Hopefully we'll see you back healthy. We'll see you back in action. Mikey, I just have to say thank you so much for coming on to our show, our baby podcast. This is only episode number 5 or number 6, excuse me. And we've already managed to lock in an amazing name like yourself as our first guest. So thank you so much for coming on, and just all the best to you and your career from here on out.
Thank you so much, Hywel. Yeah, it was super fun. Yeah, guys. So when you hate on me, just remember that there's a lot of moving pieces in this, and I do have good intentions. Craig even said I have good intentions. I'm not just a sellout like person. If you don't like me as the face of UFC BJJ, awesome. Let's get a new face. Like I didn't even consider myself the face. I'm just doing the best I can. Get a new young athlete, build them up, PED free, and like let's create new stars. That's the whole goal of UFC.